I was told not to talk much today, so I'm going to pass the baton off to our board president, Dennis Triggs, and Dennis has a few words.
Good morning. I was told I only had 7 words. It's going to be difficult. Thank you for being here. We're very fortunate with our speakers. I think everybody recognizes that healthcare is in a transformative stage, as I think it has been for the last 20 years or so. And to be leaders of these organizations like our 3 speakers are, I think takes a lot of dedication. I know it does. A lot of dedication, talent, and even a little bit of courage. So I'm going to leave it at that. We're not going to have long bios because you're here to hear what they have to say. I think you all know we're fortunate to have the University of Illinois College of Medicine, Peoria, and the 2 institutions represented here being OSF Healthcare and Carle. So we're going to get right on with the program. Thank you for being here and welcome. What's next? Dr. Iyer. We're ready.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see all of you, and thank you for the opportunity. I think I needed a little footstool. And thank you for the opportunity to present in front of you. And you, like you said, healthcare is in interesting times, and you talked about courage. But sometimes it's sheer stupidity that makes you do some of the things you do. But where are the I'm going to stand to the side. Maybe that way. But okay, there we go. All right. The University of Illinois College of Medicine Peoria is one of the 3 regional campuses of the University of Illinois College of Medicine. It's actually one of the largest medical schools in the country. Admitting in medical school, we kind of say the largest in terms of size of number of students we admit per year, and that's about 300 medical students. One of the commonly asked questions is, is there interest in medicine? Are students coming to medical school? And the answer to that question, I would say, is a resounding yes. Last year, we had 11,000 applications to the University of Illinois College of Medicine for 300 spots. So the interest in medicine in the younger generation is still strong. So I would like to believe that the future of medicine with these young physicians wanting to come to medical school is still pretty strong. You see the mission of the College of Medicine there and our vision is really to transform health through innovation, education, and research and discovery. So now I'll stand on top. Okay. So the university, we have like 4 core pillars which really constitute what we stand for. So the first is education, the next is research and scholarship, clinical care, and social accountability. And today I'll take a deeper dive into a few of these things and highlight some of the work that we are doing in these areas and also kind of talk about some of the future directions that the College of Medicine here in Peoria is looking to go. So this is the class of 2028, class of 65 students, a very diverse body, which just, this is the picture that we took at the white coat ceremony. So to give a context of the white coat ceremony, when students matriculate into medical school, the week of orientation, we give them their white coats. And the white coats is the sign of inducting them into the noble profession of medicine. This is a very exciting day, and this is probably the first and the last day the white coat is going to be pure white as it is going to be. And after that, you will see that it is definitely used by our students. One of the highlights I would like to point in this exciting class is that it's a very diverse class. One of the things we are very proud for in the College of Medicine is the diversity of our medical students who come in. In 1973, which graduated our first cohort of 18 students from our campus, we had 1 female. and the rest were all men. And as you can see, it's almost 50-50, and the diversity is from multiple perspectives. And I want to highlight why this is so important. So we get 65 students per year to Peoria. That means we have 260 medical students in our community. And for a community the size of Greater Peoria with 2 large healthcare systems, this is the pipeline that we have into our future. And then you fast forward, and then you say 4 years later, what happens to them is that they match. And this is our class of 2025, which just matched, and you can see that we had 50 students who graduated, and they matched in 19 states in 16 disciplines. I want to draw your attention to the fact that majority of our students clustered around the Midwest. That is where they are, with about, you can see a significant amount of them actually staying in Illinois to do their residency. And hopefully they will come back to our Greater Peoria community to do the practice of medicine, which is what we want them to do. We do have a few students who are in the West Coast and in the Northeast, but the biggest cluster is here in Peoria. In Illinois. This is our graduation that we had in May, again, class of 2025. And I want to tell you a story about the picture which is on the far end. So when you're looking at it on your right and my left. So that student you have standing between Dr. Cho and Dr. Hanks, who was actually hooding her, is a student who grew up in Central Illinois, actually in East Peoria. So she grew up in East Peoria. She went to ICC, again in East Peoria. After completing, she did 2 years in ICC, and then she went to SIU. She completed her undergrad in SIU, came to UEComp, did her 4 years, and now is going into a primary care residency program. So this really talks about to say that somebody here in Greater Peoria, they can really go from middle school to medical school, you really can. And we have a very strong pipeline, and she did extremely well in medical school. So, for the fact that she had a pipeline opportunities here in Peoria, in East Peoria to do that and we are hoping that we can actually build on this pipeline programs in the future. I just want to highlight some of the unique programs that we offer through our educational programs at Peoria. One of the things that we do is the Rural Student Physician Program. And you might ask me, why is it that I'm highlighting this and what is the importance of this? We know that access to care, and there are significant health disparities for people who are in rural communities. It is hard for them some of them have to drive miles before they can get to a physician or any healthcare provider, and that leads to adverse outcomes, that leads to healthcare disparities. So one of the programs that we have is we have a program where students in their third year, they are embedded in communities, rural communities, where they spend 24 weeks of their training with a primary care physician, and they work with various physicians in the community and become a part of the community. You might ask me, why is this important? The reason that this is so important is because we know that students tend to practice in areas where they are either trained, went to medical school, or trained during residency. And if they are exposed to rural communities, rural health during their training, they are more likely to go back and practice in rural communities. And this program has been in place for over 25 years, and over 50% of the graduates from this program have gone back to practice in rural communities in various disciplines. Even if it is not in Peoria, it is across, even in multiple other states, they are practicing in rural communities. So this is a little pearl and a success story that we have. And the places that I have highlighted are the different places that our students actually do rotations in. One of the other things that we do is training physicians for the future. So we talked about rural health, but healthcare is rapidly changing. And I can say that, as a practicing physician, what I learned in medical school is probably not what I'm practicing in medicine these days. It is rapidly changing. So we are really very in our medical school, we have multiple programs for our medical students to really train them in various aspects of medicine other than just the content of medicine of anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. So a couple of examples of that. One is called AcquiMed, which is Equity Innovation in Medicine. So we are trying to teach our medical students the concept of innovation and thinking about innovation very early on in medical school. And how do we do that? We use a human-centered design approach. The students go solve a problem in an austere setting, either in a rural setting or in a global setting. An example of that, you see some pictures in the middle. Below there, you see Dr. Bazanelek, who is at JUMP. He's the course director for the AcquiMed program. The students were actually in Brazil. And then they are immersed in the community, they work with community, and then they are addressing a number of social determinants of health and community issues. So one of the problems this group of students were addressing is when they were in a small village in Brazil, the challenge that they noticed was the quality of water was not good, and that was leading to health issues. And so they came back and they used that problem statement, and they have been working with their JUMP Innovation Center, and they have been working with Bradley University to find solutions to the problem, and they are hoping that they can go back and, pass it back to the global community. So these are just examples of projects that these students are doing and really fostering them the culture of innovation right from the get-go. We also have other special curricular programs like CEMED, so they're trained to be future leaders in healthcare systems. We have EdMed, which is education in medicine, so that they can become medical educators. So our curriculum is really forward thinking to say that we can prepare them better for the needs of healthcare. And that's why we need to keep these people here within our partnering healthcare systems. And then I'm going to switch gears. Is the other big group that we train is graduate medical education. So after the students complete their medical school training, which is 4 years, they have to go into what we call residency programs, which could be anywhere from 3 to 7 years, depending on the discipline. Then after that, if they are further interested, they have to go into fellowships. And what you see here is the growth in the GME enterprise that we've had in Peoria over the last 15 years. We could not have done this without the support of our partner hospitals, OSF Healthcare and Carle. And so you can see in the last 15 years, the number of residents and fellows we have in our community has grown from 191 about 15 years ago to 400. So if you really stop and think, we have 400 residents and fellows, we have 260 medical students. That means we have 660 trainees and future physicians we are training in this community. So that is our pipeline, and we need to find ways to recruit and retain them in Central Illinois. So what does the graduate medical education mean? And this was a study that we did with Bradley University in 2022. And we found that with the residents and fellows that we have, the impact that we have on our local economy, if you look at the direct, indirect, and induced, comes to about $95 million. So GME is very important for our community, is very important for our healthcare systems. And so it is really, we have a thriving program, and we are actually looking at expanding. It continues to grow, and we cannot grow it again. Even a lot of the funding for the GME comes from Medicare. But that being said, I know that we cannot grow our programs without the support of our healthcare systems. The other thing, I'm taking the pipeline backwards. Pipeline is very important. And so we've been kind of very excited that we have this early assurance program we have created with Bradley University for students who graduate, 3 to 5 students from that program who will come to our Peoria campus to be able to join us, our students. We have 3 students who will be matriculating in the fall of this year, so we are very excited about that. And we are working with other Central Illinois small colleges to see if we can build those pipeline programs. And we are actually beginning to work in even our Peoria 150 school districts and kind of doing a number of initiatives starting at the middle school level to get them excited about healthcare. Doesn't have to be medicine, but healthcare, because we know that's a huge need in our community. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, talk about research. We hope to achieve research through our centers of excellence, and I'm not going to go into the detail of all this. We are building out 4 centers of excellence, which is Center for Health Research. The 4 stands for population health, health disparities, health equity, and health outcomes. We have Center for Healthy Development and Aging, which really talks about, which is really focusing on predictive, personalized, preventive medicine. Center for Wellbeing, which talks about well-being and how do we help with burnout and support our community. And then Center for Cancer Research, which actually kind of works within both the Center for Health Research and our Center for Healthy Development and Aging. And then we also have launched a UEComp Innovation Hub, talking about innovation, which I think is slightly different from research. And this we have done in collaboration with JUMP and also with our UIC Center for Innovation. So what are some of the things in research? We have about 445 active studies through our IRB. We have $14 million of federal funding. So this is, if you ask me why do I get gray hairs, because the impact on federal funding and ICR dollars is going to be a major challenge for us. And so we need to continue to find ways as to how we support research and foster research and discovery and innovation. We had the largest research day this year with over 186 posters at the research day, which was really phenomenal. And then I have to say that our faculty have over 300 publications. So research is actually growing and thriving in our community. And we hope that, and I know we've had a number of conversations with OSF and Carl to kind of see how do we collaborate around research and grow research opportunities here in Central Illinois. The other element that we do is clinical care. The clinical care, we don't have a hospital system, but our clinical care, our physicians who are university physicians provide care at the healthcare systems. They cannot do it without, we cannot do without the healthcare systems. Healthcare systems become our important part of our educational mission, our research mission, and our clinical care mission. So last year alone, our physicians had over 45,000 clinic patient care encounters. And the other thing to point out is 66% of those patient encounters are Medicare and Medicaid. So again, another gray hair that I have is the revenue stream on the impact that we will be facing if Medicare and Medicare are altered, because that is a major, not only is it a major service that we provide and lean into our community and those in need, but it's also going to have an impact on the bottom line as we are looking at it. So we have to be creative and innovative. If somebody has solutions, let me know. And we provide care across the Tri-County area as well and across the region. And this is a fun fact. So you say, why am I showing picture of a pie? So this is our community garden that we have in front of our medical school. This was started by our medical students and faculty. So you'll see my faculty out there during the day, kind of trimming trees. And this was our first harvest of cherries. We planted this during the pandemic. People were out there and said, let's do a community garden. And the pie in the middle is not Photoshopped from Google. The students made cherry pie after they harvested the cherries to share it with the faculty. We are hoping to harvest plums, pears, apples in the future. And we also have a lot of greens and vegetables which our students and faculty harvest and give it to Sophie's Kitchen. So this is a part of our social accountability and the community reach efforts that we do. And it is just fun. This pie was 2 weeks ago. I heard about the pie after everybody had eaten it, so I didn't get to enjoy it. These are just some other examples of our community outreach. The other thing that we do is a community baby shower. This is again held by our Department of Family and Community Medicine, and this is to really give expectant moms, those who cannot afford, who are really, they raise the dollars. It's anywhere from cribs to diapers. And last year I heard we had over 100 expectant moms who participated in the community baby shower, and it was really a fun event which is really held by our medical students and faculty. And there's a lot of other things that they do, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of, I think, fun, and you get some fun pictures too. So what are we looking for in the future, right? It is interesting times. You know, if I kind of say education, as I said, our pipeline is strong, so we do have medical students interested. One of the challenges we have is medical students graduate with huge debts. It's really, really large. Our average debt for a student graduating from the College of Medicine Peoria is $220,000. It's a huge challenge, right? And so we need to make sure we support our students. I talked about Medicare, Medicaid potential challenges. I talked about the impact that we are going to be seeing on research. I do think that it is still important that we are nimble and we continue to adapt and change and really collaborate within our ecosystem to see how we can continue to sustain and move forward. We've been planning on a couple of things over the last 50 years. We have grown from, you know, a small cohort of faculty to now we have 300 faculty, 200 and 200 plus staff, 700 medical students and residents. But we've been in the same building that we've been in a long time. So one of the things that we are hoping to do is really focus on some campus expansion. So we are doing some work on expanding our campus. Some of you might remember the old VA building that was there next to the College of Medicine. That land was donated to the university, and so now we have just empty space, and so that gives us opportunities in the future. We are located definitely in 61605, and we are hoping that we can actually expand this into a multifaceted building which can focus on clinics, obviously in collaboration with our healthcare partners, and also opportunities to expand research and also space for my faculty and staff. One of the areas that we are exploring is really around comprehensive women's health and providing health to the women in our community, from in vitro all the way to geriatric population. So I would encourage all of you to stay tuned. So there will be more to come on this. And so we are in the very early phases of that, and we will be very excited to get the campus expansion up and running. This year, we'll also be focusing on expanding our centers of research. We are already putting in for a number of grants, and we are hoping that some of them will come through. We might not get the ICR dollars, but I will take the grant dollars as they come in. And we are also trying to expand and doing a lot of work on recruitment and retention of our students and our residents in our community, because that is really going to be critical for a thriving healthcare. So these would be the future plans I talked about. We'll be building out centers of excellence. We'll be building out some of our GME programs and definitely focusing on student scholarship. So again, I would like to thank all of you for the opportunity, and I also want to thank my healthcare system leaders who are here in the healthcare systems, because without them, we cannot do what we do every day. And I really believe that this is the collaborative spirit that we have in the Central Illinois community that really puts us in a great position for success. And as I listen to my colleagues in Rockford and even Chicago, and they talk about competition, I think we are in a much better place here in Central Illinois. And I think if you work on that collaboration and work towards what are some of the things that we can do as an academic center, as an R01 research institution here in the heart of Illinois, to work and build the clinical programs and work and build the educational programs, I think we will be in a great place for success. And we are in a great place for success as we look into the future. So thank you for your time.
I think I will use Sister Judith's riser here. This is okay. I can see everybody now. So, look, hey, I'm here. So, all right. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce Michelle Conger, President of OSF Healthcare.
I don't think I need the riser, but that's okay. So thank you so much for having me here today. I prepared just a few things when I talk about what's happening with OSF, where we see things going in the future, and really a lot of the great collaboration that happens across our community. I sense a real theme with Dr. Ayer's presentation. Definitely, we could not do what we do without the partnership with the university. So let's start off here. Whoa. Got an extra. Yeah, here you want me to. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. It's rolling around. Hang on. There we go. There we go. All right. Start off with mission, vision, and values for OSF. OSF stands for the Order of St. Francis, Catholic organization, been around for almost 150 years. Really a mission-driven organization. Sometimes we get the question, are our sisters still leading our organization? And I think we can unequivocally tell you they are. Okay, they are the bedrock of our organization. They've set our mission. You know, they're very clear that does not change and will not change in terms of our ability to reach the underserved, the poor, and the marginalized. That is part of who we are. Also, our vision statement we've got up here really is in line. I love it because it really goes along with a lot of the comments that have been made already around just the transformation of healthcare. This vision statement was set, I want to say, in 2014, where we really focused on a couple of things. One, becoming one OSF, and the other is really being a leader in the transformation of healthcare. So I'll talk to you a little bit about our investment in innovation and really how that's bearing fruits for our organization and for all of the communities that we're serving. This is a view of the OSF healthcare system. When I started, I have been with OSF for 31 years. When I started working at OSF, I started working at St. Francis Medical Center here in Peoria, and I believe we had 7 hospitals. So the organization has really transformed a lot in the last 15, 20 years. And we now have 17 hospitals, reaching largely across downstate Illinois. Our largest hospital is here in Peoria. Our next largest hospital is really in Rockford. We do have one hospital in Chicago. We have another hospital that is just outside of St. Louis. But you'll see a lot of our service area is really concentrated on serving rural America as well. I mean, that is a key focus for us. And Escanaba, Michigan would be very mad if I didn't mention them. So we have a hospital in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, as well as small but mighty critical access hospital. This gives you, we've got some stats on here. I'll just hit on a couple things for you. We have about 27,000 mission partners. We refer to the people who work for OSF as mission partners because we are a mission-driven organization. A little over 2,000 employed physicians and advanced practitioners. Really, we're serving over 1 million people across our geography. This was a bit of a milestone for us over the years in terms of where we've moved as an organization. I hit on this a little bit. One of the keys to our vision was being a leader in the transformation of healthcare, and I'm really happy to say that happens with partnerships throughout our community. And a bit of a passion project for me over the last 5 years has really been OSF On Call. I don't know if has anyone heard of OSF On Call. I just want to know if the Brandy. Okay. It essentially, really, the passion behind this came from Sister Diane Marie, who really said we should be able to provide care wherever you are. Provide care wherever you are. And you know, if I remember when I have 2 boys, they're grown now, but when they were young children, healthcare always seemed to happen when I was late at night. You know, it was off hours. It was, you know, inconvenient, and I found myself clogging up an emergency department unnecessarily because there was no other option. And then as my mom aged, you know, I watched trying to navigate the complexity of someone who was aging in our country and needed care that I perhaps couldn't give because she needed regular touch points with someone. So that's really where this vision was born, Care Where I Am. So this is bringing digital health care to all of our communities, rural as well as some of our urban areas, through things like remote patient monitoring. If you think about remote patient monitoring, you're able to monitor a person's condition. You don't have access to your care team just between 9 and 3. You can get a hold of them 24/7. And they will connect you back to your primary care doctor, or they will connect you to other resources that you need. We started this program with the state of Illinois. We received a grant, and we actually started with Medicaid, the population in Medicaid, recognizing it was very difficult for them to get access to care. So part of that was providing remote patient monitoring to them. And this program has really grown. We actually have a facility that's located in downtown Peoria. It's on Adams. Where, and I get a lot of grief for this. You're building a virtual digital system and you need a building. But honestly, we did need it because that's where we aggregate all of the resources. So we have physicians, nurse practitioners, we have pharmacists, social workers, the whole clinical team is located there and they're available 24/7. For our population through remote patient monitoring. And we also opened up another project about 2 years ago, which is a hospital at home, which these are people who meet acute care criteria to be admitted to the hospital. There's not all criteria. I mean, there's certain criteria for individuals who can be treated at home, but we bring the hospital care, the hospital level care to these people's homes. And I can't explain it better than the people who've experienced it. So I put a video in here of actually one of our patients that has gone through this and what it meant for him and his wife. It can be very difficult for a hospital experience for an individual. And some of the things we've learned is they sleep better when they're at home. They have access to things like their pet. Things that help the healing process along the way. And instead of you hitting a button for a nurse call light, what we do is we bring all the equipment to you. And essentially you have access to that care team that I mentioned that's on Adams just by clicking a button. And then we do home visits. We come into the home twice a day or more, depending on what's happening with the person, to make sure that the healing process is moving forward. So let's see if this works. I'm always nervous when there's a video.
I'm Jim Stickelmeyer from Metamora.
And I'm Karen Stickelmeyer, his wife.
When you can't breathe, it's pretty scary. But they got me through that, and like I said, they explained about this program that they had that I might be interested in. They asked if my wife could, and my daughter was with me, and if they would like to go home and open up the house for me, and they'd send the team out and get things ready for me.
When they come in, they were wonderful. They brought their medicine with them, and the medicine that they had for Jim, then they had to show him, what they had. It was just wonderful because they took care of him, and there might have been 2 nurses here, maybe at one time in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, there might have been a couple more nurses. One time it was later on in the evening, and they were just really, really wonderful. We were really pleased with the girls that came. They were happy. They were full of fun. It was just remarkable.
They treated me with respect, and everything was, I think everything went very well.
It's just showing you the forward thinking, I think, in terms of how healthcare is transforming, and I do believe a lot of care will be able to be moved into the home to help the patients. Moving along, I want to talk a little bit about how we're partnering with our community in different ways. This sticks to the theme, I think, that Dr. Ayer started, really thinking about how we're doing, creating a pipeline even at a younger age. How do we really get people interested, young kids interested in healthcare? So science, technology, engineering, art, and math, STEAM. This really became possible through a grant that we got with PNC, so great community partner for us. And we were able to build these STEAM kits that we send out to kids across the country, actually, and start to build their interest in healthcare careers. So we're building the pipeline for Menakshi when they start at a very, very young age. And this gives you a little bit of a view at where some of those kids are coming from. These kits are something, let me give you an example. One of them is a shark kit. It's a shark dissection kit. It's small. You can order it online. If you go online, you can order it. We found a lot of teachers find this really helpful because there's different levels of education for kids. They're able to just go online, order these kits. And during COVID, that's when we started doing this, is because kids used to come to Jump. And we found that that's just not possible during COVID, so we built these kits and it has taken off. And we found that we've really been able to reach a lot more children throughout the country. We've also worked at engaging local students. So we have simulations that we bring individuals in around healthcare careers. You know, do you know if you want to be a nurse? Do you know if you want to be a doctor or biomedical engineer? They come in, they spend a week with us. We have seen a lot of individuals go to university here, move on and move into those careers. So a great way for us to partner across our community and build a pipeline for the future. Another element of this has really been partnerships to create economic development. This is a small example of 3 companies that have come out of these partnerships. Great ideas, some of them from our mission partners. The first one is really a physical therapist who came up with a model that really is trying to predict when people are going to need additional services. So this is a new company that has been launched outside of OSF. The other one is called OpenSurge. This is a great story. A couple of nurses who worked in our, we call it SPAC, but it's essentially the pre-surgical area. It can be very difficult when you're going to surgery to get everything together, particularly if you've had an implant. So this can cancel surgeries, it's frustrating for patients, it's not good for them clinically, it's also costly. So they came up with a solution on what this might look like, started it very small, never thought they could build a company, but they did. And so we basically helped them build a model for this, and it's their company. It has moved outside of OSF. And really what they do is they track these implants, and a lot of organizations have been interested in using their product as well, so I can't wait to see where that goes. And the last story on there is really a story of an intern from Bradley who joined us at JUMP and partnered with us, had some great ideas. The scheduling of the colonoscopy process is not great, and said, how can we make this more user-friendly? And so they built an entire tool to be able to do that. So another example, I think, of just where innovation meets healthcare. And very proud to see that a lot of this work has led to the recognition from Forbes as being one of the top innovative companies in the US. So really, really excited to see that. So where do we think things are going? What's the next frontier? Really excited about our expansion of behavioral health. Really excited we already have great behavioral health care services that Carle offers here in our community, but we have a lot of need. We have about 2,000 individuals that are currently transferred outside of our area to be able to get access to an inpatient bed. So this is a 100-bed facility. It will be built out on Route 91. We've already broken ground. It's in process and will be opening in the spring. So really excited to bring this forward for our community. Next, really we see the expansion of complex care here in Peoria. Really excited to see this move forward as well. We really have 4 institutes that have been developed at St. Francis Medical Center. St. Francis Medical Center is the 5th largest medical center in the state of Illinois. It delivers highly complex care here in Peoria. And we see that expanding in the next 10 years, particularly. I'll talk a little bit about each of these really at a very high level, but really excited to see this. We have amassed some really fantastic clinicians and really moving forward with this in the future. The first is Children's Hospital of Illinois, which has been around probably the longest. I mean, I think most people recognize the capabilities of the Children's Hospital in terms of complex care. Large number of subspecialists. That's really a partnership with UECOM here in Peoria, which has been fantastic over the years, and we've really been able to grow that complement of services. One thing that is moving forward as well is the expansion of an ambulatory presence for them. That is going to be, the old corporate office that OSF used to incorporate on Glen Avenue or Glen Oak Avenue. That will be turned into a complex care center, ambulatory center for children. So really excited to see that come to fruition in the next year. Moving on, the Cancer Institute. This is Tom Hammerton's passion project for sure, and really it's so exciting to see how far it's come over the last, from a vision to really what we've been able to develop here from proton beam therapy, the research studies that are happening, and honestly, the focus also on prevention for our communities. There are so many stories that are starting to happen. We have someone who, she had an incidental finding from a lung scan, and essentially we have a new process for that where they were able to identify that quickly, bring her in the next day, have her scanned. Really, they did a biopsy and they found that she did indeed have lung cancer. They were able to surgically address that relatively quickly, and I mean, she is amazing. All of that process happened. So really focusing on seamless care, ease of access, and really prevention for our communities. This is going to make an enormous difference, I think, across Central Illinois and beyond as we attract additional individuals here. The next one we're really going to talk about is Cardiovascular Institute. This has been around as well for a while. Really some fantastic results from our Cardiovascular Institute. I won't read to you all of the programs here. All I'll say is just the volume of TAVRs that we're able to do here, structural heart program, I mean, kind of unparalleled. It's fantastic, and the results that they're getting are some of the best in the nation. So really excited to see this expand as well. And we do heart transplants as part of this program, so really continuing that acute care. And then last but certainly not least, Illinois Neurological Institute, really expanding care in this area as well, focusing on minimally invasive spine surgery, brain tumors, all of the types of complex care that we're capable of doing here in this region. So in summary, just sort of high level where we see some of the things going for the future. Really that focus on the expansion of complex care, a theme here, research and innovation. We have to double down on that. I think as a region and in our partnerships, see a lot of potential with that. And then continuing to just ease the burden of healthcare for our communities and continuing to partner into the future. So thank you so much for taking the time and listening, and I'm really excited for all of the partnerships. Sorry about the video. We'll try to get that to you.
The video did work earlier, so we will, as Michelle said, we will get it to you. We're going to have the whole presentation. We'll have it out on the e-news next week, or maybe not next week, week after, and have it out there for you on the website, so it'll be available. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Keith Knepp, President and CEO of Carle Health Care West.
Good morning. You're going to hear some of the same themes today. We really didn't coordinate our presentations, but it's going to look like we did. Thank you, Rick and Dennis and the Chamber for hosting us today. I really enjoyed the prior speakers. I'm Keith Knepp. I'm the Regional President for Carle Health here in Greater Peoria. And similarly, I started with our mission to be your trusted partner in all healthcare decisions, and our vision: improve health by providing highly accessible, world-class care and service. These are our values. Carle Health is a not-for-profit health system led by a community board of volunteers, one for the whole system, one for each of our subsidiaries, including a regional board here, boards for Trillium Place, Methodist College. We start all our board meetings with the mission moment. And so I want to share with you one of the mission moments that really touched us in recent months. We had a patient who had a neurosurgical procedure at Methodist, and coming out of that procedure, she was recovering in her room and really hit it off with one of her caregivers, who was a certified nurse assistant, a CNA. And they were talking about their shared love of beauty and fashion. And then this patient got up to go to the bathroom for the first time, saw herself in the mirror, and saw that her head was shaved and that she had a large scar across her head, and broke down just with the trauma of how different she looked from before she came into that procedure. She went back to bed and she asked the CNA if she would cover the mirror so that she wouldn't have to see herself again until she was ready to do that. So the next time she went into the bathroom, this is what she found. It was covered with paper towels. I don't know if you can read those sticky notes, but they say, "You are beautiful, you are powerful, you are wonderful." I don't remember the exact words. And she was so touched. Her family was so touched. She asked if she could take that home. They put that on her mirror at home until she was at a place where she was ready to look at herself again. I share that with you because we're going to talk about technology, we're going to talk about innovation too, but healthcare still at its core is about people helping people. So these are similar stats, and these numbers are a little old. They don't contain all of the numbers since the Peoria region has joined Carle. But I want to highlight a couple things on this slide. On your far right, it talks about some of the research institutes that exist at Carle Health in Champaign-Urbana. I wanted to give you a picture today of who Carle Health is. We're just about 2 years into joining Carle. So I'll talk a little bit about this region and the services that are provided here in Greater Peoria. But the Carle Health System extends from Champaign-Urbana as far as Galesburg for our clinic locations, up to Spring Valley and as far south as Olney, Illinois. I'll show you that map in a little bit. We partner with the UEComp medical school here. I was just at the psychiatry residency program graduation last night, and it's a deep partnership. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But Carle also has a Carle, Illinois College of Medicine in Urbana, which is a collaboration with the College of Engineering. And that's brought tremendous innovation. And it's an interesting medical school. It's one that I would not have qualified to get into because you have to have a quantitative science degree. You have to be an engineer, mathematician, or physicist to get into medical school. And those students then each have to do an innovation project during their time. And so just this year, a couple of months ago, Carle, Illinois College of Medicine hosted a conference of medical schools from around the world sharing some of those innovation projects and getting funding from device companies, pharmaceutical companies to advance that research. One example that I thought was really cool was wearable underwear that can detect if your water breaks as a pregnant mom so that you know, hey, it's time to go to the hospital. I mean, sometimes that's pretty clear, but sometimes you're not sure. So lots of cool things happening there. Carle Foundation Hospital is the flagship hospital in Urbana. It's a level 1 trauma center, level 3 NICU. Some of the technology development that's occurred there with the College of Engineering has also included MRI technology. So Carle's one of 10 places that has a 7 Tesla magnet. That's the size of the magnet for an MRI. Normal is 1.5 to 3, so 7 Tesla magnet gives a great deal of resolution. And trials going on now to say how could that be put into application. I also want to comment, you'll see on the left side there, it talks about members, and those refer to health insurance members. So Carle has owned a health insurance company called Health Alliance for I think 40 years now. It goes back to the Carle Clinic days. Carle's made the decision to close that insurance company at the end of this year. You may have seen that news that Health Alliance won't be offering insurance products anymore. Reason for that is the challenges of running a health insurance company in today's world. If you're paying attention to what's happening in the business community, even the largest insurers in the country, United Health Group, as an example, have pressured economics. And if you're a medium-sized health system trying to own an insurance company, the risk to take on, the capital that you have to keep in reserve for those claims, and then the uncertainty of the medical expenses have just made it challenging and probably not the right business to be in. We want to focus our efforts on healthcare delivery, so we'll be exiting that health insurance business. We've worked hard to land our team members, have many openings for them, of course, on the clinical side, and working through that transition. So this is just a map of Carle locations. I mentioned this earlier. This shows the distribution from east to western Illinois and a little bit further south. But really the corridor for the Carle Health System goes from Peoria through Bloomington, Normal to Champaign, Urbana. 8 hospitals, and 3 of those are here: Methodist Medical Center, Proctor Hospital, and Pekin Hospital. This is the greater Peoria map that shows those service locations. Many access points in rural communities, and a similar theme as you heard earlier of rural footprint is a big part of who we are. That is a commitment we make, but it also brings some of the challenges of how do you extend services to those patients, and how do you provide adequate funding to sustain those services. A key part of our organization in this region is Methodist College. So Methodist College is celebrating 125 years. It's a college of health sciences, primarily offering nursing programs, but we also have social work, a Bachelor of Health Sciences, the opportunity to expand to additional programming. And this year earlier, we announced an academic investment program where Carle Health is covering the cost, tuition, fees, books, for any nursing student who commits to working for Carle as a clinical nurse at any Carle location upon graduation. We've had an amazing response to this, and what has been most heartwarming is we're having applicants come not just from the greater Peoria area, but from across Carle service locations, some of whom have said, I've always wondered if I could go back to school, but I didn't think I could afford it. And it's opened the door for them to consider the next level of career that they otherwise wouldn't have in reach. And one of the things we're most proud of at Methodist College is the faculty really embrace students of all backgrounds. We have many non-traditional students, and it's been a way for people to re-enter the workforce. So 125 years, and we'll be celebrating that as we head into this academic year come August. This is Carle Health Methodist, so this is our anchor hospital here in the greater Peoria region, also celebrating 125 years this year. This is one of our flashback pictures, actually not from 125 years ago. I think that's probably from the 70s. So interestingly, prevention and early detection of cancer is a theme we already heard about. So I want to talk to you about a real collaboration here in the community around this. This is a picture of something called an ion bronchoscopy robot. This is Dr. Agamea. He's one of our pulmonologists. This technology is amazing. Patients are identified as having a potential tumor in the lung. And the way we used to have to biopsy that was to put a needle through the chest wall. An interventional radiologist would do that to sample the lung nodule and determine whether it was cancer or not. Now with this technology, the pulmonologist can enter through a bronchoscope, and the patient's bronchial tree is mapped by CT scan. And as Dr. Agamea advances that bronchoscope, he's looking at a screen, and it's like he's playing a video game. As he goes down the trachea and has to choose to go left or right, there's a little blue line that says turn left here. And then there's another line that says turn up here, and it takes him all the way to the end of wherever that lesion is, so that can then be biopsied and determine whether it's cancerous or not without ever having to come through the chest wall. So we joke with surgical robots now with this technology that the hand-eye coordination that our prospective medical students, residents get by gaming at home, maybe makes them better doctors down the road, but I'll let you decide whether you tell your kids that or not. But what I really wanted to highlight here is a collaborative effort. On the left, you see Matthew Crimmins. In the center, Dr. Sean Siebert, and then Dr. Agamea. Dr. Siebert is an internal medicine physician who works for Illinois Cancer Care. He started his career as a hospitalist at Methodist. And a few years ago, we started a clinic called the Suspicion of Cancer Clinic. It's a place where patients can be referred, and Dr. Siebert works with other physicians to get a rapid diagnosis and make sure the pathology is coordinated with the imaging to get a diagnosis quickly, get into treatment quickly. I'm showing Matthew Crimmins here because Matthew is a third-year medical student who's part of the CMED program that you heard Dr. Iyer mention earlier. He's signed up to be in a leadership track at UEComp and was assigned to me as his mentor. I've had several students over the last 5 years do so, and we've always struggled for them to find a project that's meaningful. Matthew has been amazing. He's taken the initiative, figure out what he's interested in. He was interested in pulmonology, he was interested in cancer, and he's met with 15 people at Methodist. He's met Dr. Agamea, our primary care team, the EPIC team, and his project is to use our electronic health record and MyChart to send messages to patients who are eligible for low-dose CT scan, lung cancer screening, to try and increase the rates of screening. One of the things that's been gratifying as CT scanning has become available is we're diagnosing more people with early stage cancer than we were 5 years ago. There are still a lot of people eligible for that screening that aren't getting it. I think everybody knows about mammography now, colonoscopy now, but the availability of lung cancer screening is not quite as widely known. So these three have collaborated, and Dr. Siebert and Matthew were just published in the American Society of Clinical Oncology Journal with an abstract about the Suspicion of Cancer Clinic, really highlighting the rapid access to care, the access to, or time to diagnosis, and time to treatment. Our average time for a patient to get in was 5 days, time to diagnosis was 14 days, and time to treatment was 24 days, which is probably half what it was several years ago. So remarkable work here, and it really highlights what you've heard about already today, the power of collaboration across different providers, and really the value that the medical school is bringing through the academic resources that are brought to bear. Then Trillium Place, an important distinction I want to make here is many of you may have heard about the Young Minds Center, and I'm going to highlight that here in a second. Trillium Place and the Young Minds Center are not exactly the same. Trillium Place is our behavioral health entity that provides services across the community. So 41 different programs, 600 employees. Those range from residential substance use disorder treatment to care for long-term seriously mentally ill patients, to inpatient beds, locations in Pekin, here in East Peoria, across the Peoria community. Within that entity is the Young Minds Center, which we just opened last year. The Young Minds Center is a center for children and adolescents with behavioral health needs, both inpatient beds and outpatient services. We had such tremendous support from the community for this. This was a renovation of a former nursing home in West Peoria, and we spent over $30 million buying and renovating that, and over half of that funding came from either governmental sources, well, that was a minority of it, but substantial, and the rest were from private donations. The community has done an amazing job of stepping up and supporting us in this. We were so gratified. We had our first survey, accreditation survey, where the accrediting body comes to see if you've done everything right. And you never make it through these surveys without at least something. You know, you didn't do this process right. And they found a couple things in the facility that we needed to adjust, but we had 0 clinical findings in that survey. And the surveyors said they have never been in a behavioral health facility with the investment that was made for care space that the kids experience here. So just gratifying feedback from outside the community, and the testimonials we're getting from our families, from kids and their parents have been wonderful as well. That said, we're very pleased to see what you heard about from Michelle and the OSF entry into the behavioral health space too at the Meadowview project. The needs here continue to be significant, and we need all of the resources we can to meet the community need. It's my last, almost my last slide. Just want to highlight a little bit of what you heard from Dr. Iyer already. Some challenges facing not-for-profit healthcare providers. Grant funding has really been reduced. Part of that is just the new budgetary situation of our federal and state governments. So I mentioned a Trillium Place grant here. We had a program for expectant mothers and postpartum mothers who had substance use disorder. It's an amazing program. I remember a 3-page letter I got from one of the patients on how it changed her life, having the right support services as she became a mother and recovering from substance use. That grant program was just terminated, and so we can't sustain that program. We'll try to meet that need in another way, but it won't be the same. I mentioned the Carl Illinois College of Medicine is another recipient of federal research funds, some of which have been reduced. And then I highlighted 2 things here at the end. So if you haven't heard of it, 340B is a program where not-for-profit entities like us and like Heartland, federally qualified health centers, can purchase drugs at reduced prices. We can then make those available to patients who couldn't otherwise afford it, and use those savings to fund some of the other work we do that's not compensated. And I'll just add, I saw a presentation by the Carl Finance team last year that showed Carl as one of the top hospitals or health systems in the state of Illinois for the amount of charity care that we provide, and right there with us was OSF. So you have 2 not-for-profit health systems here that really are doing their best to meet those needs of uncompensated and charity care. The 340B program is constantly under threat by the pharmaceutical company. So we are working both at the state and federal level to try to sustain that and to try to tell that story. The other you heard about already, which are the potential reductions in the Medicaid funding program as we go through the budget reconciliation process at the federal level. And so we're also really telling the story of how much our communities rely on those Medicaid funds and our need to sustain them. Then just a quick plug for my boss's boss, Dr. Leonard, the CEO of Carl Health, who was just recognized by the American Heart Association or American Hospital Association for a Career Innovation Award in Washington, D.C. this month. We were proud of him and pleased to see that recognition of the innovation that's happened at Carl. Finally, a thank you. I mentioned our community boards already. 2 of our board members are here in the room, your chair and your CEO that opened this morning. So Dennis has been a board member, a board chair, as a member of the Carl Health Board. Rick's on the Trillium Place Board. And I didn't see Bobby this morning. Bobby Zimmerman's the fire chief here in East Peoria, is on our Trillium Place Board. We really depend upon, rely upon the leadership we get from our community board members and appreciate the services and contributions they make. Thank you for having us this morning. It's been great to be with you.
Again, I'd like big hand Michelle, Keith, and Dr. Iyer. And you all thought we couldn't get them all together at one time. So, no, it was great that they found time in their schedules to be here with us. So, I want to thank Cameron from Hart. I couldn't put all that PowerPoint together. So, thanks to Paradise for all they do, the breakfast, and all the help they give us all the time. Jim, Jody, everyone here. Kelsey, Cassandra, and Angie, thanks for the registration this morning. Appreciate that. Again, Ben Wilson, Wilson Services, thanks for the great plants that they always provide for us. The board and the ambassadors, real quick, stand. I want to make sure I got a job next week. There we go. All right. Thanks for all you do. Again, golf outings coming up September, the Business Expo in October, Leadership School October, and the Festival of Lights is right around the corner. So we'll get all that going, get information out to you. Again, if you weren't sure about the healthcare in our area, I challenge you to find an area that's better than us. And thanks to all you folks for what you do, because it's great. Personal experiences, family, wonderful what you've done and what you continue to do. So keep up the good work. And again, rush off to work. You'll be there by 9 o'clock as we promised. So, all right, thanks again.